Yes, it may seem a bit bold, but I am.
Welcome home, co-journers. I'm Dr. Thema, and I'm glad to welcome you for another episode of the Homecoming Podcast, where I help to facilitate your journey back home to yourself. I'm a licensed psychologist, ordained minister, and sacred artist. And I want to start today's episode, as I often do, with a reading. This is from the book Dear Artist, a Love Letter, and it's written by Jaiya John. And the excerpt is from page 209. I hope that you will practice gathering up all the precious things that shatter and save you, and you will drink from them in a gentle ceremony, and you will let them seep from you, adorned in the contours of your soul. I can see the songbirds drafting high above you. They recognize you, their kin. I can feel the flowers in you building to bud and bloom. I have faith in you. I believe in you. I know you are a beautiful thing. Always love. I invite you to take that in. If it aligns with you, one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly, inhaling in through your nose. Exhaling out through your mouth. Recognizing that there are various ways that we end up disconnected from ourselves. And one of those ways is with psychological abuse, which is also called emotional abuse. And so on our time today, we want to focus on recognizing and healing the wounds of psychological abuse. Psychological abuse can be the result of, or the offender can be someone you are in a romantic relationship with. It can also be a family member, a so-called friend, a coworker, a supervisor. And when people engage in psychological or emotional abuse, they are attempting to scare you, to frighten you, to control you, to isolate you, to disconnect you from other people, and to disconnect you from yourself. When we consider psychological abuse, there are various tactics that people may use in order to abuse you, control you, and limit you. One of them is the reality of verbal abuse. So with verbal abuse, a person may engage in name calling. They may talk to you in a condescending and a derogatory way. People who call you stupid or loser or ugly or other words that demean you, that deflate you, that make you question yourself, that make you question your worthiness. And so when people care about you, they want to speak to you in words that uplift you. Even if you have to have a difficult conversation, a hard conversation, there are ways that do that, that still are honoring, that are still respectful, that still come from a genuine place of love. So consider, when was the last time you felt that someone was trying to tear you apart with their words? And then we recognize that not only is there name calling, but also the realities of attacking your character, where it is not just about a criticism of a behavior, but an overall sense that you are somehow unworthy, that there is a statement about you that would really begin with always, right? That you always do this or you never do that. And so then it would be that you are a screw up, and that is central to your character or your nature, versus the fact that you have screwed up or that you have made a mistake, as we have all done. Another way that people can be psychologically abusive is with yelling and with the tone of voice. And so the ways in which someone is trying to intimidate you, trying to frighten you by yelling at you, regardless of the content, even if you were to mute the content or if they were to yell at you in another language, it's not just the content of the words, but the ways in which you are being spoken to. So psychological abuse, along with yelling or name calling or attacking your character, can also include intentionally trying to embarrass you in public. So humiliation, trying to make you the source of the joke, that trying to enlist other people in a way that is meant to put you at odds with the reality of your worth. It is meant to make you the source of other people's dismissal, the source of other people's ridicule. And so sometimes it gets presented as a joke, but it is mean-spirited, it is hurtful, and even when they recognize that it is hurtful, it continues or it escalates. So it's not even a matter of, oh, I thought that you would find this funny. The fact that you are being harmed by it encourages them to continue it. People who are engaging in psychological abuse also engage in belittling behavior. So they are putting down not only you, but your accomplishments. So notice who is able to celebrate your wins and who is not able to celebrate them, who dismisses your wins by either trying to make it about them, trying to say that it wasn't such a big deal, that they cannot tolerate being out of the limelight, that if anything about you is being centralized or celebrated, that they need to grab a hold of that by either putting you down or trying to lift themselves up. People who engage in psychological abuse may also monitor you. They may engage in stalking behaviors. They may spy on you digitally. And so there is a feeling that you are perpetually being monitored, that there is deception involved in the monitoring, and there is control around decision making, that instead of it being a team or a couple or a family where we work together, instead this person operates more like a dictator, that they are going to make all of the decisions regardless of your thoughts or feelings, that there is a lack of care for what you desire, what you know, how you feel. People who are psychologically abusive can also be very unpredictable. And so it is meant to keep you off balance, to keep you anxious, to keep you wondering, am I going to be okay? And so then your nervous system is disrupted and you never really feel safe. Safe to be confident, safe to feel grounded, safe to be able to operate in truth, safe to be able to rely on someone being consistent or reliable in their care for you. Psychological abuse can also include gaslighting. So with gaslighting, people are pretending that they didn't say things they did or that they didn't do something that they have done toward you. So it is meant to make you question your memory. It is a way of trying to insult you and demean you so that your mental health is off balance and your well-being is in a precarious place where you feel more and more insecure, where you are doubting yourself all the time. People who engage in psychological abuse may often accuse you of doing things that you have not done. They may blame you for everything, blame you for things that are not your responsibility, blame you for their own faults and failures. And there is often a denial of their part of the situation, a denial of even the facts of what has happened. And so if someone is saying they care about you, but they are constantly blaming you for their behavior, so they may do harmful things to you and then say, well, it's your fault, or you brought that upon yourself. So there is a lot of trying to engage in victim blaming. that the reason I had to mistreat you in this way is because of something that you did. So they may blame you for their problems, and then they will minimize or trivialize the things they have done. So they don't take accountability, and they're always dismissing their actions and seeking to avoid any consequence for their actions. You want to also consider, from the standpoint of psychological abuse, the realities of some persons who will try to dehumanize you, to not acknowledge your own humanity, that they will try to isolate you from other people, that you have to be their only friend, their only contact. And so people who are then controlling, that is a form of psychological abuse. They are invalidating to, again, try to make you doubt yourself, and they try to disconnect you from others. So they will talk badly about your family members or about your other friends as a way of wanting to be the only influence in your life. They often do not want to hear your perspective, so they will talk over you or constantly interrupt you. And so they take up a lot of airtime, but do not hold time for you to be able to express yourself. They dismiss your feelings and say you don't have a right to feel the ways in which you do feel. And so all of the ways that you have been wounded in your heart to make you fearful, to make you insecure, to make you doubt your ability and your worth, these are intentional strategies so that the other person can control you. And so as you think about that list, I invite you to take breath and consider, when are the times that you have experienced emotional or psychological abuse? And then, because we also want to operate in clarity, you want to think about, have there been times when you were psychologically abusive, when you were emotionally abusive to your children, to a partner, to your friends, to people who you supervise at work? And so we want to be very intentional about not only staying in spaces where we are being victimized, but we also want to be very intentional about not abusing others. So this psychological abuse is often overlooked. People often focus on and are aware of physical abuse, sexual abuse, financial abuse, even religious abuse. But we also want to take into consideration emotional abuse. And as you think about emotional abuse, we want to not be dismissive, where some people will say you're just being too sensitive, or it's not that big a deal, or you just need to shake it off. A part of what happens with psychological abuse is a cumulative effect, which means if it was one insult or someone raised their voice once, you may say, oh, right, I could have shaken that off, or I could have easily released that. But often what happens with psychological abuse is it is repeated over time. And so it becomes continuous. It is at the hands often of people who are saying they care about you, and yet at the same time, they are standing on your wings, clipping your wings, talking you out of your own humanity, denying the fact that you have a right to your feelings, to be able to express yourself, to be able to express your needs. And so for those who have been in psychologically, emotionally, verbally abusive relationships in the past, I want to invite you to take sacred pause and to recognize the hurt, the harm, the effect, the impact, the consequences of those actions. They have a sting to them, and they may have made you shrink. You may have tolerated more than you would have tolerated if you were feeling more confident or more secure. They may have cost you some friendships or some connections to family because you had to let those people go in order to satisfy this person. So what has been the cost of the harm to your heart? How has that shown up in your emotional health, perhaps in your physical health? What have been the consequences of that as it relates to your hopes and dreams? That maybe when you had more confidence and more support, your dreams felt more possible. And then the more you were demeaned, dehumanized, dismissed, erased, or ignored, the more that happened, over time, perhaps, you begin to shrink your dreams, to dream less, to try less, to try to fade into the background, to try to avoid the attention or the anger of this person. And so as you begin to see the pattern of those actions, you may recognize that there is some unresolved grief there, that at the time you may have just tucked it away and kept moving. But when you are able to escape that circumstance and actually take in what happened, you may then notice your outrage or anger show up at the ways in which you were treated. You may notice your grief show up, that you lament the ways in which you were discarded and the impact that that had on you. And so I invite you to give yourself space for what you feel as you reflect on the journey of your heart. And some of you, as you think about this, will begin to connect the dots that these kinds of actions took place in multiple relationships. Perhaps you experienced it growing up and then experienced it in romantic relationships, and you may have even experienced it in so-called friendships. And so we take pause and release the self-blame and release the shame for the ways in which we may have been mistreated or manipulated or frightened or isolated. And then as you think about healing your heart, a part of healing your heart is getting to a place of safety. So when I want to get to a place of safety, if I'm still interacting with this person, it may be to advocate for myself, to set up boundaries, to say that this way of relating to me or talking to me is not okay. And then seeing if the behavior shifts or changes. It may also mean that I want to take space from this person, that the ways in which they have a negative impact on my mental and possibly physical health is no longer acceptable to me. And so I want to take space from them, whether temporarily or permanently. That will be up to you to decide. So we think about the shifts that we want to make that don't require us waiting for the other person to shift or change. Sometimes we say, like, I'm on hold waiting to see if they're going to be a better person or to see if they're going to treat me better. And I want to invite you instead to say, I'm not going to be on hold waiting for their change. I'm going to begin the change within me. I'm going to begin to honor myself. And a part of that may have to happen while I don't yet feel fully confident. So, your self-confidence and self-esteem may have really taken a hit. And so in part, I may start to treat myself better even before I feel better, and recognizing as I honor myself, as I treat myself in a better way, that can begin to elevate and heal my heart and my esteem and my understanding of myself. As we begin to heal, you also want to think about expressing yourself. Often in emotional and psychological abuse, you may have been very silent. And so if I want to reclaim my voice and actually begin to express what I have been through, I may want to express it through my arts, through poetry, through dance, through music, through visual art. I may want to express it in my journaling, to write about it. I may want to express it in my prayers, to talk about it in my sacred space and in my sacred practice. And then also to begin to talk about it with safe supporters. That may be a therapist. It may be a spiritual leader or guide or mentor. It may be with safe family members or friends, that the things you have been keeping secret, you begin to shatter silence and shatter shame and speak about those as you reclaim yourself. And then I want to invite you to consider a loving kindness meditation. And a part of what I'm going to share is from that loving kindness meditation script. And some of it comes from my own work with myself and with others. And so I invite you to get comfortable wherever you are seated. And if you can sit with your back up and uncross your arms and legs and begin inhaling in through the nose and exhaling out through the mouth. And if it aligns with you, if it is comfortable for you, you can repeat after me. May I be well. May I be safe. May I be loved. May I have peace. May I have confidence. May I reclaim myself. May I heal. May it be well with me and for me and within me. May I be well. May my heart heal. May I reclaim myself. May this be my new beginning. May I know I'm worthy. Inhaling in through your nose. Exhaling out through your mouth. All around you and within you is your worthiness and your possibility. And so I invite you to consider that better is possible for you. Better options, better choices, better and healthier connections and relationships. Your heart is deserving of that. We all are. I invite your soul to tell your heart, mind, body, and spirit, welcome home.